There's a subsection of this collective that may be merging. If you feel like you're losing track of time in the way of, in your brain, time moves faster, but in reality, it's slower. So you may feel like you're a couple days ahead, or you may look at the clock and be like, "What? It's only this time." Or what? You check the date and you're like, "But it's only Wednesday. It's not Friday." There's just a lot of losing track of time, and it doesn't happen all at once. It happens slowly throughout the day. That's the way that I want to say it. It happens slowly throughout the day. There's a large part of this subsection of the collective that is no longer being affected and triggered by the 3D ripple. I'm going to say no matter how ugly, because there's a part of this merger where you see things from a higher perspective. You see it from a higher vantage point, and you know that the ripple that you see in the 3D and the bullshit that you may be coming across doesn't cause you to react anymore. You're taking an elevated perspective. There's a part of this merger that I want to say is completion for you, because it is a higher self merger. Your higher self is merging with how you function, how you operate, and especially your inside right now. I want to tell you that your insides are now becoming your outsides, because it is no longer how you secretly operate. It is just how you operate. You are owning yourself fully. There's a large part of a merger of times of coming together, your past, your present, and your future all smashing together. They're no longer running parallel. And I know that sounds wild, but energetically, that's what they're talking about. There's a part of this wheel spin. There's a part of this fortune coming together. There's a part of this receiving that I want to say lies in the gray area. I want to say that you know that you're going through a completion. You know that things are happening for you, but it's like you're not hinged on them. There's a large part of faith and trust that you feel that there's like this knowing of like, if it happens, cool. If it doesn't, yeah, then it wasn't meant to happen. And that's that level of peace that comes with a higher vantage point and a higher perspective to things that they want to remind you. There's a part to stability here that you forged for yourself in the physical that hasn't been easy. And there's just something about your foundations being unrockable. And there's something about this world tree that just seems to have just as developed roots as it does canopy. And it just makes me feel like mission complete. It makes me feel like success. And there's especially when it comes to your roots being your shadow, your roots being your internal self, your roots being within the physical vessel, it just makes me feel like this is where things come together for you on a larger scale, where things start pulling together. When you're no longer reacting and you sit in that, like I'm going to call it like ultimate trust and faith in what you cannot see is what I'm going to call it. There's a large part of slow and steady that's happening here. It may not appear as though to everybody else you're winning, but because you house the higher perspective, because you see it from above the canopy and not just from the treetops now, you have a whole new perspective, and you're okay with a little ripple for a big wave. And sometimes there's a large part of you that may feel as though you need to do more, need to control more, need to put physical hands on things more to steer them properly. And the further you get along in your merger, you'll realize that's not necessarily the case. That's not necessarily the case. You're about to head into a large period of reflection, and it's just because of the merger you have going on, because you are pulling your past and things together as one energy, as one frequency. do not be surprised if you have a little reminiscing, is the way that I want to say it, a little bit of internal past reflection before you move forward. We have the Victory card out here. This is the slow and steady race for you, the Three of Wands. I want to tell you good things are coming because of this Nine of Pentacles down here and this Four of Wands. I want to tell you that things are going in your favor. And the freaking lighthouse. The lighthouse. It just makes me feel like you're... I want to say sounding trumpets, and I really don't know why. But I want to tell you that the trumpets are being sounded. It's okay if you don't have the answers to everything right now, because you're in that space where you're just not being shook about at the moment. Things aren't ruffling your feathers too much. Things aren't causing you to question who you are, what you're doing, where you are, and all these other things. Physical new beginning. With this merger comes your physical new beginning. With this merger comes new perspectives. With this merger comes your higher mind. With this merger comes the new you in the best way possible. It comes the more authentic you, the soul focused you, and the movement. I want to keep saying from above the canopies, like your vantage point has changed immensely. You are closing out cycles, allow them to close. That's the way that I want to say it. You are closing out cycles, allow them to close. Do not hinder them being closed, because when one thing closes, another one opens, and they really want you to focus on what's opening for you with this merger and not what's closing out for you, if that makes sense. I'll see you guys later. We're gonna go live. Have a good day. 6:46 on the timer, so that's all you need to know. 6 and 4s.